Hi and welcome to Chico Connects. My name is Mark Orme. I am honored to be your city manager, and it's my pleasure today to come and introduce to you an area of city government that oftentimes is rather unknown and a lot of folks are confused by, and that's with regard to city streets. One of the questions that we continue to get that's coming into City Hall is, when is my street going to be done? Can this pothole be filled? Why aren't you reconstructing the roadway here or there? And it actually is one of the best questions that we have an opportunity to explain to you because it impacts everybody that's on the roadways, whether you're on a bicycle or whether you're in a car. So with this episode, you'll hear from Erik Gustafson, who oversees our Maintenance and Operations Division, and also our Director over Public Works Engineering, Brendan Ottoboni. So I'm really excited to be out here at the Public Works yard where so much work gets done. So if you'll please excuse any awkward noises that are occurring behind us, because there are employees currently working right now. And I'm fortunate to have both of the directors over Public Works here today. Erik Gustafson, who's over Operations and Maintenance, and Brendan Ottoboni, who's over Engineering. So Erik, one of the really important questions that we get asked oftentimes is, how does this work really get done when somebody calls into the office and asks, hey, I need this pothole filled? And when does the determination get made as to, well, this is a bigger project than just a pothole fill?
Thank you, Mark. That's a great question, one we receive quite frequently because everybody's aware of the condition of the roadway network within Chico and throughout Chico. Typically, when a pothole occurs, we ask residents to contact our office at area code 530-894-4200, or you could simply email rightofwaymaintenance@chicoca.gov to report the pothole. We try to fix potholes as quickly as possible and commonly have a 24 to 48 hour turnaround time on potholes. However, it is noted that once a roadway is conditioned with potholes, that roadway has basically failed, and a pothole is simply a band-aid for that particular roadway. And we measure that, and we look at the pavement condition index of that particular roadway section, the age, a lot of factors are contributed into it. We will fill the pothole, but understand that's a temporary fix. And then identify the section for future, more permanent repairs, whether it's a dig out or a full reconstruction that would typically go to our engineering side of Public Works.
So thank you, Erik. Fantastic. I know that a lot of folks have always wondered kind of what that looks like. I think really then that next phase is after you've been able to quantify the level of need for that area in repair, it seems like you're able to get out there, quick response time, excellent. Well, what if more is needed? What does that go to? Brendan, can you tell us what it looks like when a construction project or reconstruction project is necessary on a road?
All right, thank you. That's a great question, Mark. And we routinely coordinate with our maintenance department to identify areas that maybe corridors that need to be improved. And then we use engineering judgment to identify the appropriate levels of treatment. So in certain situations like the Esplanade, it's a full grinding of the asphalt and repaving it. But in the southern portion of the Esplanade, you see where we really coordinated with our maintenance crews to do certain dig out repairs that then we can leverage for a cheaper alternative to maintain that roadway surface with what is typically known as like a slurry seal type of treatment, which is a thinner oil section, so that we can enhance and get the longest life expectancy out of that roadway.
So that's a great answer, and I really appreciate you both giving perspective on those two varying differences in how we reconstruct roadways or how we maintain roadways. Can you give us a recent example? There's one that I can think of that was just an absolutely fantastic project, and that's Esplanade, to where how it was differentiated between doing one segment one way versus the other segment, and how did you work together as both the Public Works departments to really make it work? I know that one area was totally reconstructed while the other was just dealt with through maintenance. If you could help explain that in each of your areas of expertise, that would be fantastic for the public to understand.
Perfect example, Mark. Esplanade is a great example of where the coordinated effort took place to fully repair a large arterial section of roadway. So on the Esplanade, the southern portion between Memorial and 11th, maintenance crews located sections of failed asphalt and ground those out and replaced them with smaller sections of asphalt. And that is a section where then engineering later came and put a slurry seal over the top to fully repair that section of road. It didn't quite need a full reconstruct, and so in order to extend our dollars as much as possible, maintenance crews did those dig out repairs in that section.
Okay, great. So Erik mentioned that we do the dig out repairs, and so when we identify the project, we identify those areas that, again, maybe have isolated areas of needed improvement. And so if we are going to apply a slurry seal treatment to that, those cracks or that pothole would propagate through that thin slurry seal layer. So that's where we really leverage those maintenance crews. And then we can come in, and what we do in engineering is we package an entire project and we put that out to bid for local contractors. So we're putting that work out, and ahead of our contract going into effect and performing that work, our maintenance crews are getting in ahead of that and doing those repairs so that when we come through with our contractor, those improvements are done contiguously and collectively to maximize the life expectancy of that roadway.
So fantastic. I think that really gives some great perspective to the public. I know one of the other questions they oftentimes had is, how do we really know the conditions of our roadways? And I know that one of the major initiatives that we undertook over the past number of years is develop a program to understand all the conditions of our roadways. Could you help explain that to the public as to what the PCI index is and how they can keep track of how the roadways are?
All right, another great question. And so in engineering, we really lead the programmatic level of analyzing the entire network, and that's through a coordinated effort with maintenance as well. So in 2015, we adopted our first pavement management program, and what we do is we hire a consultant that's certified. They go and inspect visually the entire roadway network and assign pavement conditions index, which is essentially a rating sheet from 0 to 100, 100 being a new roadway, 0 being a gravel road, and I think we've got that full spectrum here in Chico. So what we do is we go through the entire network, and we have about 300 miles of roadway, and we take the basically cumulative average of that condition of each segment to come up with our overall pavement condition index.
So that's terrific. Thank you so much for those explanations. So what I've seen so far is that the process when somebody calls in and they need something repaired, what that looks like, how you make a determination as to whether or not to do a simple repair of maintenance or to come in and do a full reconstruct. The PCI index helps drive those decisions, which is fantastic because you have to have a baseline in order to make prudent and wise investments into the community's infrastructure. Well, one of the bigger questions that comes about after people realize, okay, there's a system in place, is when is my street going to be done? How do you make a determination as to when roadways are going to be done versus others? And I know that's driven a lot by the condition of the roadways, but also I know that we've looked at utilizing zones as an approach that can be taken so that folks can realize when their street's going to be worked on. What does that look like, and how is that coming along as you're coordinated together as Public Works Department directors in making this really easy for the public to understand?
Correct. With a roadway network of over 300 miles, we do not have the resources to deploy efforts throughout the entire city. So we've broken up the city into 7 different maintenance zones, and the intent is to analyze the pavement condition index within those zones and then choose one zone typically to work in throughout the year. And again, the operations side and maintenance side of Public Works focuses on some of those dig out repairs and those preliminary repairs that could be done prior to a large engineering capital project to come in afterwards. We also focus on the residential streets in operations and maintenance and try to do what we can with those that have a bad PCI index in the particular zone that we're working on for that particular year.
Well, that's fantastic. I want to thank you both very much. I think it's been very informative, and I think it's going to give the public a newer perspective on actually how the functionality of how our road repairs and maintenance occur throughout the year. So I want to thank you all for being a part of this, for bearing witness to how it's working internally within the organization of how our road repairs are taking place. We look forward to repairing a road near you soon.